Tilly, let's talk about guest arrival and how you enhance the stay while the guest is in-house. Can you give us some examples of things that you do?
So, we have a company-wide texting number, which helps from the get-go because a lot of people um, tend to like to communicate that way. Even if they don't, they've kind of um, gotten on board with it because it is really the fastest way to get in touch with us. We have a reach out beforehand. I think it's about 2 days before where we're like, hey, we'd like to meet you at the property and kind of give you a brief overview of the amenities. Is that something you're interested in? A lot of people will say no, but then maybe change their mind when they get closer to arrival. We find that it definitely helps to meet the guest because it kind of decompresses their anxiety with how travel was, because travel has become just more and more of a nightmare. Plus, I think when people meet us in the industry, they have this preconceived idea that our lives are just fantastic and we live in the best place possible, and they really want to emulate who we are. So it's kind of a nice welcome to greet them, and then it definitely lowers any of the questions during their stay of like, hey, how do I light the fireplace? Or it just makes them, if they know you, they can't hate you type of thing. So if there are any hiccups, it helps to alleviate anything that does happen that's out of our control. Um, and then I think it also builds kind of a trust. And so people either are repeat guests and or refer the company to their friends because they know it will be a seamless, you know, eh, arrival for the most
Yeah.
part.
So are you using any particular technology for your texting with guests?
Oh yeah, it's Breezeway.
Ah, fantastic. That's a great
Yeah.
answer.
Yep.
And I'm going to throw this out to anybody. How do you guys feel that texting and hospitality, do they go hand in hand, or is there something lost, or is there an art to texting and still getting that hospitality through?
We try to make it sound like it's one person, um, so it doesn't confuse the guest. And there are times that they'll ask who it is, and so it is kind of funny to be like, well, it was actually Tilly and Taylor and Brittany, and um, but that there's no reason to really say that to the guest, because you want them to remember your company, not your name, in my opinion, because that's the ultimate goal. Like,
Okay.
remember who we are.
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify, you're doing VIP check-ins. So you're meeting the guest the day of arrival, walking him into the house, making sure they get in okay, showing them, some of these, especially in the luxury markets, there's a lot of things. But then also in some of the destination markets, they might have questions about local restaurants, the beach. What does that red flag on the beach mean?
Right,
Really
right.
kind of walking them through, where can I park? Where can I not park? How do those doors where you have to push them up instead of push
Oh,
them down that to lock, those always
right.
trick me and I can never get them. So just wanted to clarify because there were some questions in the chat about that it's a VIP check-in at the day of check-in.
Mhm.
But as far as texting, I like putting my name at the end and then having that personalized reason. And we've seen, and there are statistics that show guest reviews, um, guests are more likely to leave a review for a host than for a professionally managed property management company because they feel like of that hospitality. So, Victor, any thoughts on texting and using your name?
Yeah, I love that. I think Jody, you hit it on the head earlier. You kind of alluded to like the COVID era, right? During COVID time, 6 feet apart, tech guests really didn't love that interaction as obviously they were worried for the reasons. And I think that time has, evolved and changed, right? And we're starting to see that guest experience coming in first, right? So we do like to personalize things much more. We do like, knowing or showing the guest who they're speaking with. So they, when, in future, dates or whatever it may be, they say, hey, I had a great time, speaking and chatting with Kaz. She really understood what I was going through. So we do, you know, our best to try to get that person to be, you know, that the person who holds the hands throughout the reservation. We also have a great operations manager. Shout out Santiago if you're watching this. He can turn any experience around. He really has, you know, kind of like that niche for guest experience. So, you know, I know personally myself, I do come from the hospitality background, but you know, I don't necessarily think I'm the guru or the best at, you know, the guest experience or turning something around, especially if there's a complaint. So I know, you know, the strength of our team. So we send out our operations manager, and he gives that, you know, really personal communication. As far as communication through text, we also do through obviously through the platform. We could do calls, we could do emails. So we do like to give an array of, you know, ways that guests can reach out to us, because obviously it's convenient for them, and we're thinking of that guest experience first, right?
Right. So, Victor, if you want your employees to care, then you have to care as well, right? So that
We-
hospitality starts at home. So, I'll just remind my panel members there's some questions in the Q&A section. One of them that I want to answer, it says it's curious about what PMS you guys are each using and if Breezeway's messaging is better than their PMS. Tilly was saying she uses Breezeway for the text messaging. I will tell you, we use Streamline for our text messaging. And that's just because we were using that way before Breezeway had that feature. And so we have continued to use that. We do use personal names, but Leslie, do you guys do texting, and what do you use for texting?
We use Send Squared.
Send
So,
Squared.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
lots of
we
solutions
personalize.
there.
We do some scripting, you know, for the texting so that you keep your brand, but we do let them, you know, use their names because it does establish that relationship.
Right. And then lots of questions on the VIP check-ins, Tilly. How do you set them up, and do guests, are they open to it? I guess you would say.
Yeah, I mean, some are, some aren't. We do have quite a few that have stayed at the same property, so they're like, nah, we know it, we're good. There are some people that are, you know, their first reaction is, oh no, we don't want to bother anyone. We're like, it's totally fine. If they want to check in and then we'll come over the next morning or whatever, we can do that. We have some properties that are not easy to get into, you know, whether it's a door. I mean, there's the park that you have to drive underneath Main Street in the garage and a whole another block away. So we really don't want guests to get angry because they can't figure out where they're going. So, you know, there are times that I'll put balloons on, you know, the front of some house, or glow in the dark solar light sticks to be like, I know you're getting in late. This is the house. We we offer it to anyone. So anyone who wants an in-person check-in, no matter how little or big they've spent, then we will meet them. We'll make that happen. There are certain, you know, properties that are do everything you can to check the guest in because it is, you know, a 13,000 square foot home or something.